Yaakov, Brachot 68. So it says, Ikeda Amri, we're in a story, another part of the story, an alternative version to the story that we just learned last week. So this is Ikeda Amri, Amar Rav Matna. Some say that Rav Matna said as follows: Afilu bikrach shedanin bahorgenbo. Even in regard to we're talking about people who the rabbi said, who was it? Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Ben Azai, I'm sorry. Ben Azai said that when you enter into the city, you should make 2 bracha. When you leave the city, you should say 2 bracha, right? That was last week. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we said that this only applies to a city where they would kill people without trial. But if they kill people with trial, so you don't have to be so worried. So he says, so Rav Masna said, some people say that Rav Masna said, "Afilu b'krach done in bahorgenbo," even with regard to a city in which they first judge and then execute criminals, he should still recite these prayers. Perhaps he will be accused falsely of a serious crime, and he will need to ask someone to speak up in his behalf. Zimnim delo mitra mele inesh diali vezekute, and sometimes he will not come across a person who can argue his innocence. Thus, even a city governed by law and order can be dangerous. So it's not just simply a case that if I go into a place that is a hang'em court, that they don't do anything, they just kill you right away. And that was originally what we thought would be the time you'd have to make the bracha. But now we're saying, But now they were saying, no, even in place of law and order, you may be falsely accused. And by the way, we see many times people after 20 years, the evidence shows they've been in jail for 20 years, and the evidence shows that they're really innocent. They never did anything. It was circumstantial evidence, and we have to apologize to these people for imprisoning them unjustly, and which they should be. And I think they even compensated somewhat for the loss of time. But how can you compensate 20 years in prison and all of that stuff? You really can't. But that's the problem with the system. Okay, so now the Gemara says, Tana Rabban. The rabbi is taught in the Braita, Nichnas l'beit merchat somer, one who enters a bathhouse, a public bathhouse, he says. So he explains the bathhouses of the Talmudic era differed from ours. The floorboards of their bathhouses were built over a large pit. The water of the bathhouse flowed into this pit. If the floorboard collapsed, a grave danger to those standing above would result, because they'd all, fall into the water. So what happens is you hear a psalm, you should say, when you're entering, with you're close to law, I'm guessing, you hear a psalm, Hashem Elokai, you should say, well, it may be your will, my Hashem, that you spare me from this danger and from its like. And may no matter of ruin or iniquity befall me. But if a matter of ruin or iniquity does befall me, then let my death be an atonement for all my sins. Now, this is interesting because if you open up your Art Scroll Siddur we don't have one around here, right? No. Okay. I don't want to get up to get one. But if you look to the confession right before death, it's the same sort of thing. If I should recover from this, let this death be my atonement, or that if I recover, fine. That's the same. But here also, it was saying that if something happens, if a matter of ruin or iniquity does befall me, and I die as a result of that, let my death be an atonement for my sins. If you don't do tshuva before you die, then death is not an atonement. That's why in all of these movies you see, repent ye before you die, because really it's a true statement that if I don't repent, this is what the Gemara is saying, if I don't repent before I die, then I'm not a Baal Tshuva. If I'm not a Baal Tshuva, then my death cannot act as the atonement. If I am a Baal Tshuva, then the death will be an additional part of my atonement. Okay, so that's why we're saying that if I die, my death should be what's necessary for me to skip Gehenna and to go right to Gan Eden. Okay, so the Gemara takes an issue with the last line. Amra Baye lo lema ineshach. A person should not say this. A person entering a dangerous situation should not speak of disaster threatening him. V'lo liftach pumei Satan. For that, so that he does not give Satan an opening. What does that mean? So he says, one should not open mouth. One should open one's mouth to Satan. By such speech, he gives Satan, who functions as a prosecutor in the heavenly tribunal, an opening to demand that he be punished, as he himself admits that he deserves. So when you say Al tiftach peh Satan, you shouldn't open your mouth to Satan. Again, Satan is not this demonic person with fire and everything else that they're going to make him. He's the divine prosecuting attorney. And if you admit that you're guilty, by that line you're saying it, let my death be an atonement for me. Oh, so you admit you're a guilty guy. You admit that you need to be, that your death is necessary to atone for you properly. So if that's the case, let's prosecute you by your own admission. So always be careful. And how do we know this? The Amar Reish Lakish, because Reish Lakish said, Rav Shimon ben Lakish, he said, V'chein Tanim Mishmei de Rav Yossi, and it was also a bright to taught the name of Rav Yossi. Li'olam al yivtach adam piv l'satan. One should never give Satan an opening. Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said, "My ka'ara'ah dichtiv." Which verse supports this idea? The following verse, which is written in Isaiah, it says, "Kema'at kisudom hayinu la'amorah daminu." Had not Hashem left us a small remnant, we would have been like Sodom. We would have resembled Amorah. In other words, he explains, we would have been deserving of being utterly destroyed, as was Sodom. My ahadole navi, and what does the prophet say in rejoinder to them in the very next verse? Shema'u devar Hashem kitzine Sodom. Hear the word of Hashem, O chiefs of Sodom. Give ear to the teaching of our God, O people of Amorah. So again, this he explains. This illustrates the principle of Reish Lakish and Rav Yossi. By confessing that they were deserving of punishment, as the Sodomites of old, the people gave the prophet an opening to label them chiefs of Sodom. In our case, the explicit reference to one's possible death in the bathhouse raises an issue that would be better left unmentioned. Okay, so in other words, you don't want to entice the Satan to prosecute the case. So you don't want to say that when you're on the so if you're going to say that, why on the deathbed do we say that confession? Because it's very simple. You're going to die. The odds are you're on the deathbed. You've been given however long to live. Yeah. Okay, so you say this sickness should be a kapara for me, and I should heal up. Many people have healed up after being a shchiv meirah, and so on and so forth. People have had recoveries. So if I recover, fine, let this sickness be my atonement. And if not, to let my death be my atonement. Again, the point is to make it so that you're a Baal Tshuva at that point of death. But here I'm walking into a dangerous situation to say and we have to remember, the only time that Hashem, this all gets to philosophy, by the way, the only time Hashem would allow anything to happen to me is if I'm deserving of it. If not, then as Rabbi Schaefer said in his book, Tu Mr. Bitachon, it's as if I'm walking around with an armed forces surrounding me. Then nobody can touch me. So if nobody can touch me, why am I afraid? Why am I having any trepidation? And therefore, I should just be able to walk through. Now, again, you're putting yourself into a dangerous situation. So if I'm walking on the west side of Chicago, what is west side of Chicago? That's a bad place. West Side of Chicago. So then, okay, I have to. I'm the idiot, and Satan is making the case at that point. But let's say I'm walking into a normal situation like these bathhouses, which were used by everybody. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't abnormal. It would be like going into a car. Every time I get into a car, I would suddenly say, "Okay, it could lead to my death and ruin. If I die, it should be an atonement for my sins." What are you doing? Yeah, it's dangerous. I'm not going to argue with the danger of getting into a car or leaving your house, walking across the street. These are all dangerous situations.
In other words, you're not going out of your way to put yourself
right.
in danger.
I'm doing normal danger.
Yeah.
I'm not doing crazy danger.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping out of a plane with a little.
You get out of bed in the morning and say,
Right. So you're going to say that too. So that's what he's saying. In those situations, you don't. Al tiftach peh l'satan. You shouldn't peeve. Actually, al tiftach peeve l'satan. You shouldn't open your mouth to Satan.
It's like I'm expecting to be punished.
Right. Because if you keep saying that, obviously you have something wrong. So let's deal with that. And like I said, so that's what they're getting for. When they said, well, like Sodom and Gomorrah, so then, you're like Sodom, you admit what you are, so now we have to punish you. We can speak to you like that. You hear it? That's what's going on.
Yeah. Is that also like the reason why you shouldn't make any negative predictions either? Is it this kind of the same thing?
Like what?
Oh, like we shouldn't do that because this and such could happen. And
yeah.
The same thing.
Right. You're doing two things. One, you're opening your mouth to Satan. Also, you're having a self-fulfilling prophecy. You remember, if I say if this then that, I've decided then if this then that. So I'm creating that self-fulfilling prophecy, and I'm expecting that to happen. If I expect it to happen, it probably will. Okay. People like to say, I'll give you directions. And my response is, no, don't give me directions. I can get lost going anywhere, okay? Now, the simple truth is, if I put it into my GPS, and I follow GPS, I'm pretty good. If I see a map, then again, I'm pretty good. If you're going to give me directions, we don't listen that much. That's the whole thing. We don't listen. We hear the first couple of statements, if you're lucky, and right, left, but really, how much do we really listen to that? And we figure we'll ask somebody else down the road. But that's the problem. If we train ourselves to listen, or we familiarize ourselves with the area, look with maps, which is what we used to have to do. We used to have to when you would move into a place, you'd get the road map and you'd see where the different roads are. You would take a car and or your bike. I used to go out on my bike, and I used to travel with my bike. That's how I learned Stoughton. I went around with my bike, and I saw, I go here. I didn't have to know the names of the streets as much as I knew where I was going. Yeah. Fine. And same thing with when I was in Muncie and other places. I would learn the streets. And so you would tell me where to go, I would know how to get there. But I wouldn't know, if you ask me which street, I don't know what street I'm going on. It meant nothing to me. In this town, the same thing. I don't know streets. I know how to get to your house. I don't know what street you live on. It doesn't matter to me. I know it's either Victoria or Olga, but otherwise I see, there's where he lives. Okay, across to this guy. It's not hard. Yeah. And the same thing with other people. I know how to get there. But if you ask me which side, my wife, it drives my wife crazy. Because I tell her, it's down there. And where? Google it, leave me alone. But really, that's what it is. Because I've convinced myself, self-fulfilling prophecy, I'm not good with directions. Again, but I can get a lot of places. Once I've seen it, once I've done it, I can get there. Yeah. But that's how it works.
Don't ask my wife whether it's north, south, east, or west.
Right.
She can get there.
That's why people ask me, which way is east? I don't know. That way, I don't know. Because Aaron's here, I know. East.
Standing here, you know. Yeah.
Right. I'm sitting here, right?
Sitting.
It was funny, somebody came in here, and they were davening west. The ark is here, and they were davening the other way. Recently. And I said to them, east is the other way. She said, no, but you were stepping this way. I said, you haven't been here for over 2 years. We turned.
And he knew it was oriented.
It was a she. It was a she, I'm saying. It was in that
Oh,
section.
oh.
But she was used to davening that way, so she davened that way. So no,
That's funny. That's funny.
but that's what happens. Again, we are directionally challenged. Okay, so it says, "Ki nafik my omer." So when upon leaving the bathhouse, what does a person say? So Amar Rav Acha. Rav Acha said, "Modani lefanecha, Hashem Elokai, shehitzaltani min haor. I thank you, Hashem, my God, for having spared me from the fire." Again, the fire's underneath the floorboards with the water. So thank you for sparing me. Rav Abahu al Lebe Bani. Rav Abahu entered a public bathhouse. Ibche Be Bani Mitute. The floor of the bathhouse gave way beneath him, falling into the pit. Itrechi Shle Nisa. A miracle occurred to him. Kam Alamuda. He was left standing on a pillar. Shaziv Mea V'chad Gavre B'chad Evre, and he saved 101 men with his limb. That is, he says, in 45. That is, Rav Abahu held on to one or two men with his arm, and each man held on to another, forming a chain of 101 men. There you go. That's a big. That's a big pit.
Yeah.
Okay. Amar Abaye, Amar Rav Abaye. So Rav Abaye said, "Hainu de Rav Acha." This is the kind of danger to which Rav Acha was referring, and that's why he said. He explains. That's why Rav Acha said, "One's required to offer a prayer of thanksgiving for leaving a bathhouse safely." The Gemara Ketubah records another version of this. Okay, fine. So there you go. I don't know. Like I said, you have to have a very deep pit for that to happen. 101 men. Either they're all small men. I'm not sure.
There must. In other words, these bathhouses they were built like over a body of water, like an inlet or something, and they didn't. It wasn't something that they.
The way
ran water to.
The way he says it was.
They had that kind of a pit. It would
right.
be like you're out on a lake or a river or an ocean or something, and you would build it out from the shore.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's like a quarry.
It wouldn't be the ocean. You wouldn't want salt water, so it'd be like, in other words, like an area that was deep that filled with water, and then they built a floor in there.
Right. So I'm guessing, again, the water has to be, I'm not sure how low the water was down, because if he's holding on to 100 men, that's a long chain. You figure an average guy is 5 feet. 5'3", whatever, 5'5".
Yeah, that's really.
So you're looking at each arm. Let's say has 50 people. So what are they floating? Are they, they're treading water. If they're treading water, they're being burned. They're being boiled alive. So they have to be above the water. So I'm not sure what kind of.
Wow. Huh.
When it comes to these sort of things, I can't help you with that. Did he address anything here? Let me see. Kids, right. Okay, let's be here. No, I didn't. I don't see anything here. No, so there's no hidden. Oh, the only thing Maharsha says here is when it says, "and don't cause a bad thing or because of the sin." He says, "Mishum bebeda mirchatz adam arom mamash," because in the bathhouse the person was really naked. The arom in a mitzvot kuuvda to David. Okay, and he was naked also from mitzvot, like the event with David. Also, there was a danger because of the fire that is found there. So therefore, it's fitting for a person should pray on this. Or therefore, it's proper that a person in this sort of situation of danger that he from the fire that he shouldn't come to Hazkarat Avon, that they shouldn't come to mentioning of the sin. Ve'abaya Amar lo leima hachi. The Abaya said, you shouldn't say that. Lo al zeh kamar shuhut mamash tefillah. You shouldn't. This is certainly not a real prayer. Ela asef. Wait. Lo leima hachi. Lo al zeh kamar shuhut mamash. Tefillah ela asef demilta. He's going on the end where it says the loma im ira. He's not arguing you should pray. He's saying that if something bad happens, because again, that's opening the mouth to the Satan. Yeah, but that's all he picks on. Okay, fine. You can't do any more than that. So we'll have to just take the story as is. He saved 101 men. So a prayer to be recited when maintaining one's health. So it said here that Rav Acha said, okay, hanichnas lahakis dam, one who goes to a bloodletter. So it would be interesting. This was with leeches.
Yeah.
They had headaches or whatever else they would do. So they would go to get their blood.
Yeah, apparently that was very ancient belief.
Right.
It was written here, yeah.
They would let the blood come out, and so on and so forth. It would be interesting today if you would go to the blood bank, where they take blood away. So, to donate blood.
Yeah.
So that would be the closest we have to this sort of thing.
Bloodletting was done up through into the 19th century.
Right, but again, that was done, like I said, that was done for...
There's no scientific basis. They just had
no, they did have scientific basis. Their science says it got rid of the bad humors.
Huh. But I mean, today, there's no science in that whatsoever today. We don't see anything in that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think so. You said, bloodletting, though.
Bloodletting, it was like cupping. It was like cupping.
Like what?
Cupping. They both like they would you make the thing hot and you put it on your back, and I don't know. Cupping, they called it cupping. All these things would get rid of your bad humors and headaches and so on and so forth. Yeah. They thought it was because you had excess of blood, and
or to get rid of some diseases that were being carried around the body by the blood or something.
Right.
Like
well, disease does get carried around by the blood. They thought it was because of an excess of blood, too thick or too thin. It's interesting that, again, I can't argue on what I don't understand, but it's interesting that they would say thick blood, and we know of that today. And you know how you thin your blood out without doing anything? Take aspirins. Aspirin will thin your blood out, which is why you would get rid of your headache.
Because there's this pressure on the blood vessels or something.
Right. So what you're doing is you're making everything go smoother. What happens is you have thick blood, so you make it go. That's how I understood it.
I wonder if it worked for headaches.
I don't know. Again, you're taking out blood. You're not making it thinner. Yeah. Here, but
you had to be careful how much. I don't know if they knew that. I guess they must have known that. You can't let too much out.
Well, you have a tick. You're putting the tick on you. That's what they did. They didn't cut the person. They put a tick on it.
A tick?
The tick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Baruch Hashem, we passed those days. Now we just take aspirins. Okay, so anyway, so if you're taking blood, so he says, Yehi ratzon fanecha Hashem Elokai, that may be your will, Hashem my God, sheyesek zeh li refuah tipaeni, that this therapy should serve as a remedy, and that you should heal me. Ki kel rofei ne'eman ata, Frodcha emet, for you are God, the faithful healer, and it is your remedy that is genuine. The fisha ein darken shel bnei adam l'raf od ela shenahagu, for it is not the place of people to seek medical treatment, but so have they accustomed themselves. So here we go. It says the people should not seek medical solutions to their health problems, but should rather pray for divine mercy. But we're going to. The Gemara is not going to appreciate this. Amar Abaye, lo lema inej hachi. A person should not say this last line that you should that is not a place for people to seek medical treatment. He was apparently against that. The Tani Rabbi Debei Rabbi Yishmael, for it was bright was taught in the name Academy of Rabbi Yishmael. V'rapo yirapeh. The Torah clearly says, and he shall provide a healing. He should pay the victim's medical expenses. That's what that means. Mikan shenitna reshut l'rofeh l'rapo. From here, we may derive that authority was given to a physician to offer treatment. So he says, 50 and 51. Okay, so a passage discusses two men who quarrel. One then strikes and injures the other. Among other things, the aggressor is obligated to pay for the injured party's medical expenses. So if you are in a fight with somebody and you hurt them, you are responsible to pay for the medical expenses.
So in other words, by that implication, then
you have to go to the doctor.
He's giving permission to go
Correct.
to a medical healer.
Correct, and that's his next part. Had authority not been granted to doctors, they might have been forbidden to practice. One would have said, if Hashem struck this person with disease, how can we presume to cure him and thereby nullify Hashem's decree? The verse therefore informs us that this reasoning is specious. It makes no difference whether the illness was brought about by a man or natural causes. In either case, a physician has the permission to heal. Now, again, we'll go on before I say anything. Sure. Indeed, once a physician is permitted to administer treatment, he fulfills the mitzvah by doing so. The Ramban takes a somewhat different approach. He contends that in an ideal world, sick persons would turn to Hashem and not to doctors to heal them. Thus, the Torah's permission is granted to the doctors and not to their patients. The patients should really restrain themselves, but if they do approach a doctor, the Torah allows him to treat them. However, Ramban concedes such a standard is reserved for a utopian society, a righteous generation who generally partakes of Hashem's blessings bestowed upon their food, drink, and health. The Torah recognizes, though, that a generation which is far from that pinnacle should not be discouraged from seeking medical treatment. Birkei Yosef states forcefully that nowadays one cannot rely on miracles, and an ailing person is duty-bound to act in accordance with the custom and seek out physicians. To neglect to do so is almost prohibited conduct. So we're seeing that there's a big argument. One, the way the Shulchan Aruch says it in Yeridea is when I go to the doctor, I should say, may be your will, Hashem, that this doctor, that what he's going to do, that you will help this person heal me. In other words, we're asking Hashem to give this person the chachma, I forget the exact language, to heal me. The doctor, again, should say, Hashem, please give me the chachma to do it. In other words, both are admitting it's coming from God. Both admit that any type of healing is only the Rofei Chol Moshe. Only Hashem can be the healer of all sicknesses. He's the one who gave us the sickness. He's the one who can take it away. My medicine doesn't do it. It may, by the way, the medicines like aspirins may deaden the pain for a little while, but it's only a stopgap. If I don't get rid of the problem,
that's the symptom.
Right, the symptom. It only touches the symptom. If I don't get rid of the problem, I'm going to still have the headache when the drug wears off, or when it stops having the effect of my thinning my blood, whatever it's going to do. So the same thing with everything. I have to understand that whatever I've done, there's an avera involved here. That is a Jewish concept. There's an avera involved. I have to figure out what the avera was, and I have to go back. Now, it may be that the avera was just terminal. It may be a terminal case. Maybe I've done such evil for me, not compared to the world, but for me, that Hashem says, this is the cleansing process you need to go through, and you're going to have a horrible death. And that's but it's all part of it. Do tshuva, accept it, willingly accept it, and just say, yes, Hashem, this is all from you, and do confession and get it over with, if you really can't. But that is the concept. So again, the doctor can't do anything. The doctor, by doing all the operations, by doing all the amputations, whatever they want to do, is worthless if you don't recognize this from God. If you recognize from God, that's all. That's really all Hashem wants. That's where this philosophy is coming from. So it doesn't mean you won't die. Again, the cancer victim may recover, it may not. A person went in. It's a very sad case. A child had, what was it? I think tonsillitis. I don't think it was anything more than that. And they had an operation. Normal operation.
Yeah.
Little kid, maybe I think he was 10 years old. I don't think he was anymore. He went in for an operation. And next thing you know, the operation went well. And he went to recovery. Suddenly there was a complication. He starts to get a high fever. And the doctors said, don't worry about it, it'll be good. And within 2 days he was dead. From tonsillitis. I think that's what it was, tonsillitis. And, how can you fight that? He was in the hospital. And they couldn't do anything. In the hospital. It's not like he was home. In the hospital. And they just watched the progression and didn't know what was happening. Now, they blamed you could blame it that it was a weekend and so on and so forth. It was probably, people were drinking. Who knows? But nonetheless, with all the medical advancements that we have, this little kid died. And and the parents now had such shiva for their child. And it was sad. It was one of those, a very sad story that went into it. And it never should. You could argue it never should have happened, but Hashem said no. That's what it is. Now you can never say that to the parents sitting shiva. By the way, that's not for us to say. That's for the parents to come to that conclusion. But what we're learning here is that's exactly what it is. I have to ask that the doctor can heal me. The doctor has to ask that he can heal me, and realize it's from Hashem, do your tshuva, and so on and so forth. So, like I said, the Ramban wants to say in a utopian society we wouldn't need doctors. In our society, we do. Birkei Yosef says no. You need to go to a doctor. Leave me alone. I'm not interested in utopian societies. Okay. So let me just do a little more, and then we'll finish this. So the prayer to be said after receiving treatment is Kikai Mai Omer. When he stands up, what does he say? Ama Ravacha Baruch Rofei Chinam. Blessed are you, the free healer. That's what he says. Okay, that's what we'll stop.